the throat chakra. Is it easy for you to use your voice, to speak up? Is it harder for you to use your voice, or is it harder for you to think before you speak? Do you spend too much time thinking and not speaking, or do you spend more time talking without thinking? Both of these are throat chakra problems, and depending on which side of the scale you're on depends on whether you need help using your throat chakra more, or if you need help toning it down a little bit and clearing it out. Now, I have hypothyroidism, so to me it's very difficult for me to use my voice. So I use these videos and stuff as a exercise to get me to use my voice. I use writing as a way to use language and communicate. But I have worked so long on my throat chakra these past few years that now I feel inclined to do another vow of silence or a Mouna practice. My last Mouna practice, I did it for 10 days, and for the 10 days without talking. Vow of silence, traditional vow of silence. But this time I'm gonna go more with the Mouna practice where it's not so stern or strict, because that's something that I am often on myself. So for this one, I'm just going to focus on talking less, to find the right words without having to talk extra. And I will also be practicing using my voice more, or self-express more, which doesn't have to be verbal. It can be use of the hands, it can be body language, it can be sign language, which another use of the hand, art. There are different ways of expressing oneself that doesn't include being verbal. A Mouna practice or a vow of silence is more than not being verbal. It is also about clearing and stillness of the mind. And while a vow practice can seem very daunting when you are a parent who has children that constantly ask you questions, about 400 questions a day, or if you're a business owner that needs to communicate, how do you do a vow of silence? How? Like, I get it. A Mouna practice can be done as part of your day. It doesn't have to be the entire day. For example, you can practice Mouna when you're eating dinner, when you're eating any meal. This will also help build a bond with your food, to stop and pay attention, being mindful of everything you're tasting, everything you're experiencing, without judgment, without attachment to it. You're experiencing, you're listening, you're open to what's around you. And this is a big thing of, do I want to influence the environment? Do I want to be influenced by the environment? Do I want to exert control over the situation, over the conversation? Or can I go more inward and let go and allow the situation to flourish on its own and just watch the beauty, the magic of it? So a moon practice is not a practice of avoiding talking or avoiding communication when there's a subject at hand that, you know, maybe you and your spouse need to work out, or that you and a friend need to work out. It's not for avoidance. It's for spiritual exploration, to observe the silence and really allow the silence to teach you. In my own practice, I really notice the effect of language, of how much more we say than really needs to be said. For example, just between English and sign language, there are so many words that are cut out because they're not really needed. And then going from sign language to a moon practice where you're not communicating using your hands either, you start to notice that words aren't really needed. You start feeling the energy more. So if you're telepathic or you're an empath, then those abilities escalate. And for some that might be awesome, but for some that might be a little worrisome where they need to be a little more down. That's personal. Another way to practice Mouna is trying half the day, which is probably what I'm going to be aiming at during this practice. My practice is specifically now, I am guessing inclined because of Mercury retrograde, blah, 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 blah. Mercury retrograde, and because it often deals with communication. So I just feel like doing half the day of Mouna really helps fine-tune the throat chakra. Spending half the time going inward and experiencing, observing, taking in, listening, and the other half outward, expressing. So what you express is more true, more refined to what you are trying to communicate. I don't know if I missed any questions about Mouna. I know I've gotten a few these past couple weeks, which lines up with why I'm also inclined to also do it. It's like all aligning, all synchronistically. And I encourage you, when you find your synchronicity, to go with it. Because if you're not, then what's the point? What's the point of synchronicity if you're not engaging in it? Anyway, I think it's time for me to shut up. Okay. So, going forward for this month of March, you might see me writing less, and you will see videos without me using speech. And then there might be some where I'm writing a whole bunch, and that's also part of my practice for this month of Mouna, because it doesn't have to be all out. It does not have to be all out for it to be a spiritual practice. And I just hope that you take that from this video to try to take little parts of it into your day and see how it goes, to see your experience from it and continue building on it. And before you know it, you know, you're a yogi, a hippie, I don't know. And again, I said it's time for me to shut up, so. For me, it's like going back into my comfort zone. But since I've worked so much on my throat chakra, it actually feels like, it might actually be more difficult for me to do this now than it was for me last year. Anyway. The throat chakra. The throat chakra. The throat chakra.